Accelerator is the first ranked level 5 and the strongest esper in Academy City. But he's currently recovering from the wounds he got when he joined a project to make him the first level 6 and strongest esper in the world. On the day he was going to be discarded, a band of anti-skill forces under Captain Aho Yamakawa arrive at the hospital. At the same time, a group of 3 high school students, Yauko Takada, Minori Kaidara, and Hiromi Nakahara, attack the hospital with a recently stolen experimental equipment. The equipment appears to be an ultra-high-pressure water cutter weapon able to cut through anything. As they enter the hospital, they easily defeat the anti-skill forces and demand for Accelerator. Accelerator appears after breaking a wall down that knocks Hiromi out. He gets all hyped out to fight, but Last Order appears holding a gift. While she approaches him, the roof starts to collapse, forcing him to body shield her. The impact makes him bleed from his head and his blood drops on the gift. Yauko and Minori take the gift and run away after using smoke bombs. Accelerator predicts they headed to the sewers and chases the girls down, who blow up some, but he doesn't care. He's too strong to be stopped and pushes Yauko away with his powers. She gets up and uses her water cutter weapon to finish him. On the other hand, he plays the reverse card and kicks her away, leaving as he got Last Order's gift back. Later, as he returns, Last Order gives him that gift, smiling cookies, and says they are just getting started. The anti-skill forces chase a hooded woman named Esther Rosenthal, who searches for a girl in the hospital while she tries to escape. She arrives at Accelerator's room and asks for help, but Accelerator just ignores everything. Eventually, the forces catch her in the Accelerator's room and take her. He notices a photo Esther was carrying and decides to block the forces' path. The forces that have captured Esther are not anti-skill but DAs. They shoot Accelerator, but he uses his powers to deflect the bullets back. They use their ultimate weapon, Coffin, a huge mecha with fire powers. It shoots a huge fireball at Accelerator, destroying everything around him. He's super hyped up and jumps forward against another fireball. But using his powers, he shoots the fireball back at it and touches its core to deactivate it. As the mecha gets deactivated, a coffin opens up, revealing a dead person inside. Hasami recently tried to commit suicide. When Accelerator returns to his room, he meets Esther, who begs him to help her. While traveling with Accelerator, Esther remembers her harsh past when she was imprisoned in a warehouse by Mikihiko Hishigata. As they arrive at the same warehouse, Accelerator enters by destroying the wall. When they enter the building, they see a disposed body and encounter the Kyong Kai, a coffin operated by Hishigata. Esther is surprised to see Kyong Kai. He thanks Esther for letting him know everything about reanimating dead bodies and saying she is no different than him. Accelerator gets annoyed because Kyong talks too much and attacks with his powers. Kyong's mecha blocks it. Accelerator attacks again with increased power, but Kyong blocks it again and leaves through the roof. Accelerator and Esther return to the hospital, where Esther meets Last Order and introduces herself as Accelerator's classmate. Later, the doctor arrives at his room and shows him a spiritual charm he found on the Hasami's dead body. Esther uses her power to reboot the Hasami's soul, and it makes a holographic brain to appear. Accelerator touches it and sees the Hasami's memories. He sees why she tried to commit suicide and how she was used by DA. Suddenly, 2 DA men arrive in anti-skill's uniform, holding a disposal solution to dispose of the dead body, and tell Accelerator and Esther to leave the place. But Accelerator sees through their plans and steals it without them noticing. Hasami awakes and starts to attack the intruders. They become frightened to see a dead body alive and think she's a monster. One of them shoots Hasami, but Accelerator saves her, showing him that he is the real monster, and knocks him off. Accelerator's wound opens and he starts to feel dizzy until he falls unconscious. One of the men takes advantage of the situation and runs away. Misaka 10 tries to stop him from escaping, but he gets reinforcements, knocking her out and taking her with him. DA's recent antics have generated a nuisance, and Rizu calls the liaison of the Dark Side organization Scavenger to eliminate DA. Esther and Hasami chase the DA's men while Accelerator is being operated. He wakes up and finds Last Order asleep while sitting next to him. She wakes up and starts to cry as she scolds him for acting reckless. Accelerator requests her to get him black coffee, and when she leaves, a Team Misaka arrives there and tells him Misaka Tens was kidnapped. He calls Kikayo again and tells her about the DA's secret news that DA might be connected to Antiskill, but much of a surprise to him when Kikayo tells him that the DA was formed by the former members of Antiskills. On the other hand, Scavenger Liaison, on the orders of destroys a DA's hideout in District 3. Later that night, Antiskill forces another attack in one of the DA's hideouts. DA's branch elders complain about the Antiskill's attack, while Hishigata tells them it's their mistake to let Esther go and fail in different missions. Dia is having a hard time fighting Anti-Skill. Dia reveals its multi-petal weapon and kills half of the army in a few minutes. Heio stops a group of DAS who are fleeing while carrying a body bag containing Misaka 10 during the battle. Suddenly scavengers arrive at the hideout and one of them instantly stops the 120-ton tarantula from moving with her powers. The tarantula tries to run away, but the girl slide chases it out until she catches it and control one of its feet, making the tarantula spin out and crash into the wall. As Misaka 10 falls from the upper surface, Esther and Hasami arrive at the moment and save her. Watching them, one of the scavengers, Naruha Sakuragi, gets ready to fight and develops a new form. On the other hand, Accelerator escapes from the hospital to fight Dia and saves Misaka 10. When Naruha, with her new form, is ready to attack Eho and others, one of Dia's men arrives and starts shooting at her, but she easily dodges them, and her fellow Itsuki Yakimaru freezes him to death. Eho tries to defend herself against Naruha's attack, but Naruha punches her so hard that it sends her flying away. Esther asks Hasami to protect Eho as Naruha tries to finish her off. Hasami stops Naruha with a kick. Both get to the ground and start to fight in close combat. Hasami seems to hold the advantage until Naruha converts one of her teddy bear hands into projectiles. She throws her projectiles at Hasami, who evades everything while she runs at Naruha. Suddenly some of the projectiles come from behind and inflicts a cut on Hasami's leg. Naruha hits Hasami into a wall and tries to finish her off. Esther steps in with her powers and gives Hasami an armor. Naruha attacks start to become ineffective, so she makes an excavator and starts running around, making it easy for Hasami to dodge. So Naruha targets instead, which forces Hasami to step in and block the attack, losing her armor and injuring her arms in the process. Esther begs them to stop, but Naruha just cares about her own sense of justice, making her cry as the world she knows is only filled in despair. As Naruha is about to finally kill Esther and Hasami, Accelerator appears and destroys the excavator, knocking Naruha away. His dreadful personality starts to show off when he just tells Esther and Hasami to get lost. The scavenger's leader on the other side is hyped and wants to make him one of his comrades and starts shouting as he ignores her. Accelerator with his footstep knocks the girl down. With another step he makes the tarantula jump and fall on the girl's location, who was saved in the last second by her comrades. The scavengers decide to use their teamwork to finish Accelerator. One of them restrains his movements while the others uses their powers to place him in a 4,000 degrees sarcophagus. Nobody ever survived Iron Maiden. The girls are all happy for their victory and Esther falls on her knees. She cannot believe Accelerator died to protect her. Yet, his powers destroys Iron Maiden. He gets more bloodthirsty. At this moment the girls knew they're doomed. He quickly pushes one against the wall and electrocutes her. Naruha enraged attacks Accelerator, but he stomps her and uses his powers to stab her. The other girl gets knocked away with just a finger and the scavenger's leader passes out from fear. After the battle, Esther feels a lot of guilt for not being of any use during the battle. Esther uses magic to check the physical conditions of the injured but feels pity as she can only give normal first aid. Esther praises Accelerator for not murdering the scavengers in spite of Accelerator's enormous strength and offers to be his student. Despite Esther's pledges, Accelerator takes enormous time to consider her as his student and rejects it all the time. Another coffin appears and shoots rockets at Accelerator, who manages to block while moving towards the robot, almost managing to hit Bit. But the coffin uses one of its skills to teleport behind Accelerator. Another two coffins appear and manages to capture Misaka 10. The coffins launch some attacks at Esther to escape, as Accelerator is forced to protect her. He then chases the coffins until they stop and surround them. He tries to attack the main coffin but gets blocked by a barrier. Hishigata knows Accelerator needs to touch his opponent directly to use his obnoxious power, but for Accelerator that means nothing. He's still the rank 1 esper and uses his power to explode one of the coffin's leg. The coffin that has Misaka escapes while downloading her memories. Accelerator chases it, but the coffin activates his stealth skill. Hishigata is enjoying Accelerator's behavior. His coffin has a perfect stealth skill and nobody can detect it, unless you're Accelerator, who can detect the coffin's location just because its movement creates air currents. Hishigata starts to taunt Accelerator because he wants to save Misaka 10, one of the 10,031 clones he killed in the past. He starts to shoot around as he escapes, but Accelerator just follows the coffins as he laughs like a maniac. When Hishigata and Harumi met Esther in their lab, she introduced herself as a necromancer, shocking both of them. Hishigata wanted Esther to use her powers and put pseudo-souls in a machine, but she wasn't sure if they could make it. Knowing about Esther's power, Harumi decides to conduct a dangerous experiment on herself. She wants to upgrade herself to level 6 and leaves a message to Hishigata and Esther telling she's already dead but her body is safe. Ishigata was still grieving but decided to start the experiment on her. The machine takes Harumi's body in and she started speaking, making the rest believe she was alive once again. In the present, Esther is attempting to use her knife to cast a spell in an effort to thwart Ishigata and Harumi. Ishigata is pissed off to see Accelerator still following them. Suddenly, Accelerator blasts one of the coffins into Ishigata's lab. Accelerator saves Misaka 10 but he's late. Ishigata has already downloaded all of her 10,031 deaths from her memory and installed them into Kyong-kai. Accelerator leaps in to attack Kyong-kai but he is unexpectedly transferred outside the bunker next to Taudi. Hashigata analyzes Harumi and declares that when she awakens she will be the first level 6 esper. Kyong-kai and Taudi start attacking Accelerator, destroying the pace around, even teleporting trucks and buses against Accelerator, who uses his power to convert a sand typhoon into fire and burn the camera connecting both coffins. He quickly finishes each coffin, Taudi with a punch, and uses iron rods to seize Kyong-kai's functioning. Esther hides in Ishigata's lab to take a chance and prevent Harumi from becoming a level 6 esper. She abruptly rushes to the coffin containing Harumi, but Ishigata steps forward, getting stabbed in the process. Ishigata, despite feeling pain caused by the attack, turns back and feels delighted as Harumi is now the level 6 esper. After being attacked by Esther, Ishigata collapses to the ground while Harumi, a level 6 esper now known as Tau, awakens. Harumi becomes furious after seeing her brother in a critical condition, and all tubes start to connect with her, making her go on a rampage. Isami takes Esther and Ishigata, who disagrees with Esther naming Harumi as Tau. He thinks there is no such thing as the devil. Tau is compelled to divulge his real identity by Esther. Tau then introduces himself and claims to have connected to the devil. Esther is extended an invitation by Tau to help him in fulfilling the ideal golem creation, which is the final wish of her family. Esther tries to stop Tau, but when she is unable, Tau eventually declares himself Isek, Rosenthal's fourth family leader. Isek recounts how Tau's soul was combined with Harumi's synthetic soul. Before Isek was passed away, he had his son Nathan inscribe his soul into Tau. He plotted the entire scheme using Ishigata and Harumi. While Isaac was building his ideal golem, the world began to fade. He now has an endless amount of time and resources to work with. Accelerator approaches Isaac now in his monster form, who reminds him that he killed thousands of females, and those girls' memories are the reason rank 6 esper. Accelerator gets mad and tries to kill Isaac several times, but he comes back to live every time. Accelerator then comes back to live every time. Accelerator then looks at Esther and tries to cheer her up. Esther, motivated, gets ready to confront Isaac. Esther explains that the pseudo-charm in Tau's body will renew as long as it is intact. Therefore, the only way to beat Isaac is to make him contact with her knife. Accelerator and the group try to reach Harumi's body to stop Isaac, but Isaac's evolution has been completed, and he has finally gained a perfect soul and body, becoming an ideal golem. Accelerator inside Isaac's body uses his powers to create a wind flow, making them reach the core where Isaac and Harumi's real body is. Esther heads up to kill Isaac, but she's restrained by him. Hasami and Misaka help her finally finish their enemy. Although Isaac is no longer alive, the issues still exist. Isaac's death unleashed a tremendous quantity of energy which will result in an explosion for miles. While observing this, Accelerator advances to take control of the situation and successfully changes the path of the energy into space. Although the entire town is spared, Accelerator suffers a new serious injury. After the battle, Ao visits Accelerator to express his gratitude for his assistance.